I'm putting awesome speakers. 10 a.m. We are streaming live on StreamYard, through Twitter, Facebook, and my YouTube channel. Unlocking Unlimited Potential Stories, Summer Thrive Edition. Jesse Lubinsky, Georgina Dean, Darren Pepper, Charles Williams, and Tisha Richmond. An awesome group of people. We're going to talk about what you're doing for summer learning and opportunities that are out there for us all to be able to continue to grow and thrive this summer. Because as educators, as we hit this summer place, we have two choices. We either stop and dive or grow and thrive. Join us this week. Looking forward to it. All right, welcome everybody to the Unlocking Unlimited Potential Stories Summer Thrive Edition. Excited to be here today. We are going across the ocean, across the continents, across the countries. We are going global here today. We are reaching out. Georgina Dean. Georgina Dean, you just won an amazing award, Edu-Futurist of the Year. Man, I'm excited to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here. I didn't expect you to kickstart with that, but thanks for the shout out. That's really kind of you.
No, anytime you win an award, it's worth the shout out. And it's a new award because you just got it a few days ago. So I'm glad to be one of the first people to publicly congratulate you.
Oh, bless. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
So Georgina, you're coming from very far away. You're coming from the future, actually, because it's about what, 10 o'clock at night where you are right now? Is that about right?
Almost. We're just diving into sunset now. So I think you're in ET time. Is that right? EST?
I am. Yep. New York.
Yeah. So we're about 7 hours ahead, but I like to always start my sessions by saying exactly just that I'm joining all the way from the future. But I will let you know, we have something really cool too, in case anybody joining in didn't know. We are home here in Amman, Jordan, we are home of the lowest point on Earth. So we have the Dead Sea here, which literally is the lowest point on Earth. And it's 1,000 meters. We're 1,000 meters above sea level. So we're about a 40-minute drive down the mountain to get to the Dead Sea. And then also, if you go 3 hours the other way, we have access to the Red Sea as well. So we're quite in a unique location, I guess we could say.
Yes, you're in a unique location. Can't say I've been there myself. And how on earth did you end up there? That's the real question.
That is a good question. So basically, not unlike yourself or any other educators or leaders joining in the chat, I wanted to change the world, make it a better place. And I had the privilege of going to school and growing up in the Canadian education system. And I really felt like it gave me a super multicultural, cross-curricular experience. And, listening to the news, etc. as I was growing up, I just thought, how cool would that be if we could go and give back to places in Africa? So that's what I did. Straight out of university, graduated, and a couple of months later, literally went for my very first teaching job in a grade 1 French immersion classroom in Cairo, Egypt. So I started in Egypt and been to a few different continents, and then Jordan specifically in the last couple of years. So yeah.
Wow, what an experience. That is, I'm sure that's a whole nother couple episodes that we could dive into.
There you go.
On that. But I love it. I love that we're doing. And so what are you doing right now in Jordan in your space right now?
Yeah, great question. So I'm working currently as Director of Learning Technology here at a K-12 international nonprofit school. Today's actually my last day of work here, and then we break up for the summer. So it's a great opportunity to chat with you and everybody joining in on my last day of work today. And then we have the summer starting tomorrow. So I basically support the schools here, just to answer your question, with digital transformation. So helping them go into cloud migration, support their infrastructure, their IT teams. I also do a little bit of instructional coaching, and we also do a little bit of classroom teaching. So a few hours of high school creative media is what I'm currently timetable to support the students with here.
That's awesome. That's a really interesting perspective that I'm sure that you've gained going from the different continents too, and being able to work, and being able to have you here on your last day of work is pretty cool as well.
Thank you for having me. It's so cool to connect, and it's so just inspiring. I know you asked me to join here to talk about different things for summer learning, etc. But what you're doing is so inspiring. So thank you for putting this on for educators and just helping us navigate all of the things that are available now, right? As we dive into summer. So thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And you also have a Codebreaker book coming soon in the near future. Is that correct?
That is correct. I am so excited, and I'm really excited. I'll have a little bit more time now to do some more writing. So stay tuned for that. Definitely check it out at codebreakeredu.com, and you'll find my name somewhere along the amazingly epic and inspiring list of people, including, oh, wrong way, Brandon.
Me, yes. All right, awesome.
Yes,
Love the shout
authors.
out.
Yeah, awesome.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. What's the title of your book going to be?
I'm going to not release the title, but I will let you know it's all about creative leadership. So I know you and I just recently connected, but for anybody who's watching and tuning in, they know I'm really big on creativity. And I think it's really important when we think about how we're going to move into the next academic year and beyond, how we can do things a little more creatively, with a little bit more creative freedom, for teachers, for students, etc. So I'm really excited about sharing my ideas with the world.
That's awesome. Yes, we are on the edge of our seat waiting for the title. Cannot wait. The title is something you kind of got to hold on to, hold it close to your heart. I totally appreciate that. So no, it's good to know. And do you have a kind of like a hopeful date that you're, area of time, a year that you're thinking this is going to be coming out?
I really, truly hope it's going to definitely be before the end of 2021. I just turned, not just 40 years old 6 months ago. So I'd love to publish my first book in my 40th year. And of course, it just depends, Daphne and Brian, shout out to them from Codebreaker, are so busy doing so much for education. So it just depends whenever I fall in the loop for editing, but hopefully sometime this year. So stay tuned, guys.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So we got a couple people watching on YouTube. We have Brent, we have the Crew Crafters. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining us all. Just to add to that, so you're talking about your last day of school and you are here continuing to learn. And that's what this show is all about, right? There's so many different opportunities out there. And so let's just kind of take a minute and walk back through this year for a minute. It's been a crazy year in education. What are some things that I would say, looking back on this school year, what are some things that you've learned to help yourself stay motivated and hopeful for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, for myself to stay hopeful, it hasn't been difficult, although it's been a challenging year for sure. But I've seen educators just really come into their own this year. We talk in education about giving students agency, right? And ownership of their learning, et cetera. Well, this year for myself has been such a joy to watch educators take that plunge, to take ownership and agency of the way they're teaching in their classrooms and the way they're getting creative and innovative with their experiences to spark their students. So educators globally, have actually given me all the hope that I need to know that the education landscape is truly changing. And how lucky are we, Brandon, right? To be right smack in the middle of it, to be present and part of that global change. I'm so excited. I always say it's the most epic time of education, and I stand by that. I'm really excited about the future.
Yeah, and I think our eyes have all been opened up to the amount of opportunities that are out there that are free, that are opportunities, whether it's a Twitter chat or whether it's, joining in a conference that's a free offering and there's some truly amazing speakers and having that option. I've just noticed, in the past year, so many more free opportunities and opportunities, that you can do. When I say free, it's not just the admission may be free, but it's also the travel may be free. So you and Jordan can now attend a conference in New York and you don't have to leave the seat of your house for some, that's a totally different, that's a totally different landscape. And so navigating that can be kind of challenging, but understanding what's out there. And so I love what you're saying about that. And let's talk a little bit about some of the summer learning opportunities that you may recommend or you are involved in, because I know people definitely want to continue to learn from you. I've had the chance to work with you for the past couple months and listen to you at the Codebreaker Power Summit. And it's been an opportunity, and you have some really amazing experiences that are happening all the way on the other side of the globe. But then again, a lot of those things, it's still education, and we can use a lot of that in our classroom too. And so I think that global perspective is also something that we've really gained here. So talk a little bit about summer learning for you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love that. And I also love learning from you. So maybe we could just kickstart with the Codebreaker summer camp that's coming up. So on the 14th, and if I get any of this wrong, just correct me. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And basically, you guys can join us on the 14th of August. And what I'm really excited about, which I'm sure Brandon is too, is that there is a part that is in person, but there's also a virtual part. So it's the first hybrid Codebreaker summer camp, or summit, I guess we could say. And it's going to be bite-sized pieces of PD. So I know Jesse was talking about that yesterday in his session about diving more into micro-credentials and bite-sized PD. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for that. And I'm sure you'll hear a lot of the Codebreaker leaders speaking there. The agenda, the schedule is not out just yet, since the call for proposals just ended yesterday, but I definitely encourage you guys to come on out to the Codebreaker Summit to join and learn and share. What's great, Brandon, and I'm sure you'll agree since you've been with Codebreaker so much longer than myself, is just full of disrupting the status quo, right? I mean, we imagine what things could really be like, and we take those risks, right? So there's no fear in it, and there's lots of risk taking, and we connect and collaborate together. And I think it's really beautiful. So yeah, fill in any blanks that I missed.
No, you nailed it. We just posted the link in all the chats and everywhere, and it's going to be awesome. It's the first time that Codebreaker is doing something in the summer, because honestly, we were so excited after the Power Summit, and I think everybody was just so charged up and ready to continue, because we have such an awesome community and such a great group of educators that were excited and wanted to do more. And it's a hybrid event, which is even cooler, which is going to be home based in Massachusetts. Shout out to Matthew Joseph for making those details happen. But you will have the opportunity to attend from either places, and it costs $5. So, I mean, we all got $5, pretty easy, straightforward, take care of everybody. Shout out to everybody for building on that. And it's going to be an awesome opportunity. I'm great opportunity to learn from some amazing people. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Super, super pumped. So Codebreaker Summit's happening this summer. There's a few others, I know Jesse mentioned his event that he's taking part of yesterday. I'll just throw a couple more in the chat. This one is new for myself this summer, but I found out about it through the World Wide Web of EDU Twitter, called Flip Tech. That one's a free event to learn, but there's also a lot of global educators that are joining to learn from different types of events. And there's also here, this is not new, I know because I heard about it last summer, is Nearpod's Camp Engage. So if you're interested in learning more about Nearpod and the ways those can engage your community in meaningful and exciting ways, then you can check that one out as well. There's also EC Global, but I just was looking on my notes and I didn't have the link. So I'll grab those and send that out later. But EC Global is also a global summit that happens. I participated last year. It's 24 hours of live events, but there's different tracks, so you can pick and choose where you want to go. And then they basically host those for free, a little bit like Jesse's event that he's doing, and then people can join asynchronously. And I think that's just so wonderful about these events, that we can really go back and continue the learning, that professional learning is not just development and it stops, but we can actually continue that. So those are The big one that I'd also love to share, if that's okay, if there's time, is the Adobe for Education Summit that is coming up on the 28th and the 29th of July. I'm really, really excited about this one also. I'll pop that in the chat. There you go. This one is also virtual, and it is put on by amazingly creative and innovative leaders across education and beyond. So for those of you who are familiar with Adobe for Education, you can check them out. They're on Twitter at Adobe for EDU. And you can register for the summit. Brendan just very kindly dropped that link in the chat. It's totally free. But what's really great is that it's all about creation, right? And so if there's something we learned this year, it's that learning happens really meaningfully when students can create. And I guess the digital has added a little bit. Obviously, we need to balance that, et cetera. But with those digital tools and online, one of the takeaways has been that we can create and learn from that. So the Adobe Summit is broken up into define first, and then create, and then reflect. And so in each of those sessions on day one, there'll be like a keynote speaker, and then there'll be different sessions that you can go to create in those sessions. So I am giving one of them in the create session on sketchnoting, live sketchnoting, and the theme of the entire summit is creativity for the future. Yes, so I'm really, really excited to dive into that, because and I'm sure you might agree, Brandon, or let me know if you have different ideas, but like, I think if anybody thought this year that they weren't creative, I think that power of yet has like been achieved, right? Everybody's had a go at actually creating this year, right? Educators, students, leaders, and I just think that's so powerful. So the idea of this summit is, okay, great. So what's next? Now that we all know, or mostly, how to take that risk, right? A first step perhaps, or things that we might be better at creating now. So then what's next? So it's really going to be exciting. So definitely check that out, guys. That's totally free. Brandon dropped the link in the chat. So join us 28th and 29th of July. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. Let me ask you a question. Are you involved in all of those events that you just announced?
Yeah, that is a great question. No, I'm not. But I do think it's important to shout out that, like, we don't always have to be sharing to participate in learning. I can't tell you also how many events, I know you know that, but just, to share with the community. Like, I think even if we're not presenting, us just being there, collaborating in YouTube chats or in Google Meet chats or Zoom chats, the learning happens everywhere. It doesn't, it's not bound by the walls of the classroom anymore, or even the Zoom walls, right? So just being there, experience, take the conversation, continue it in other spaces. And before I forget, sorry, I've got to drop one more, Brendan. I know this is not going to be.
No, keep it coming. This is all free. This is free learning. We're giving away the tickets to the castle here. I mean, this is amazing. I love it. Appreciate this.
No, with pleasure. But that can also be overwhelming. So we'll talk about that in a second as well. How do we navigate, right? What to go to, where do we start? But this one that I just dropped here is the GEG Bootcamp. So if you are using Google for Workspace for Education at your school community, or maybe you're a Microsoft school, I know there's starting to be more collaborations, and some schools are using pieces of different learning management systems. So if you're interested in getting googly and getting your Google education certifications like level 1 or level 2, the global GEG community, which is a Google educator group worldwide, is putting on a free boot camp. And if you go to the link that Brandon just dropped, it's actually going to be over several days, and it's a series of 30-minute bite-sized sessions back to back over different days so that you can practice your skills. But what's really, really great about that session is that it's not just the basics. So yes, we need to help educators learn the basics of the Google Workspace for Education tools to get certified. But because the session is 30 minutes, you'll find that the Google trainers that are providing these sessions will actually give like tips and tricks, right? And like maybe free remixables, etc. So it's always a great opportunity to connect with others and learn all things Googly. So back to your question about, am I presenting at all of them? The answer is no, but I am doing a session at the Global GEG Bootcamp for free, and I'm doing a session at the Adobe Summit as well on sketchnoting at the Create session. So yeah.
That's awesome. Sketchnoting, big fan. Love it. Use it with students. It's a great
So
tool.
cool, right?
It is a great tool. I truly appreciate it. Posted everything in the chat over on Facebook if you want to check it out. Man, some really great learning activities, learning opportunities. You gave away quite a curriculum. I mean, that's pretty amazing, and I love it. So appreciate you doing that. You know, you're looking at all these opportunities and you chose all these events and you spoke really highly of all of them. So what makes a good professional learning opportunity for you?
Excellent question. So I always, when I'm helping educators navigate this, and I obviously, abide by what I share as well, is that I think you need to think about you can do two things, right? You can either think about what are things that I'd like to improve on for myself going into the next year, right? That I can work on to build and develop in the summer, or what are things that I'm really passionate about that I may be already good at, but I want to enhance more, right? So I'm sure there are other pathways as well. Maybe it's just you're interested, but you're not sure if you're good at it, right? So there's lots of different angles you could take on professional learning. But I always go with the rule of thirds, because family is obviously number one for all of us, I'm sure. And well-being is obviously really important after this crazy pandemic of a year, right? And so I like to stick with the rule of thirds. Like, pick your three things that you'd like to dive into this summer, prioritize them, and then plan out a time. How long do you think it's going to take you to work on those things? And do you have enough time? Could this then become a long-term goal that's going to go into the next academic year as well? So I would say think about things that are of interest to you, because that is probably the most important thing, right, for learning. Whether you're a student in a classroom, whether you're an educator or an adult, you need to be interested in what you want to learn. So pick things that you want to learn about, that you're passionate about, and see how they might help you in your role in the year ahead, or help you personally, right? Maybe you want to write a book like Dr. Brandon over here. Oh, wrong way, that way. Or any of the other Codebreaker team, or maybe you want to learn to illustrate like I'm learning to sketchnote right now. Whatever it is that you're interested in doing, that should be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of having all of these options. I mean, you named 5 of the hundreds of thousands of possible learning opportunities out there. And I love that you kind of, you went through with a lot of these have a lot of different offerings, but also you're in a space too with, maybe it is that I can tell the kind of educator you are just by looking at the conferences you've chosen. A creative educator, someone who really wants students to do, the work. The students want to collaborate. You want your students to connect with each other. You want them to find multiple ways of showing their understanding. I didn't see the standardized assessment boot camp on here, so that's always a good sign. But I love that that's
not
also
to say
that's something that we can learn, right? You can learn a lot from somebody by the 5 PDs that they pick, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was just gonna say, for the record, in case anybody's listening, it's not that I'm not about standards. I think it's important, and I think you'd agree, Brendan. It's about how are we starting with student centricity, right? That really important piece. We're all here in education for the learners, right? And we're also learners. So how do we start with that piece? Curiosity, creativity, and then move forward. And then we can tie in the standards, find out what people want to learn, and then build your development plan from that, right? Like, we have OKRs, we have SMART goals, we have professional learning plans. They're probably different across the world, but I'm sure we all sit down with our line manager at the beginning of the year and maybe a couple of times throughout the year and say, okay, how are you doing working towards these goals? Well, it's important that you have a say in what you want to learn and how you want to develop yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely. And some people in the chat were just asking, I want to make sure if they're searching for you, we're looking for this person right here. We're looking for techie leader. That's you, right? That's your Twitter tag, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that people know. So techie leader edu on Twitter. And what about your other spaces? And to connect with you?
Yeah, sure. They can connect with me on IG at Redefine Ed for Redefine Education. So I'll pop that in there, Redefine Ed, if I can still spell after my long day. There we go. On Instagram, I have a website, which is redefineeducation.com, but it is down now as I am revamping it, and it hopefully will be live actually by the Adobe Education Summit. So fingers crossed that I'll have a little bit more time now over the summer to get that up.
Awesome.
Oh, and Codebreaker. Sorry, don't forget about Codebreaker, right? So you can also connect with us on Codebreaker.
I mean, Codebreaker is an obvious one at this point, but yeah, so we got to make sure that we remember that to give the shout out. Shout out to Codebreaker. This is a Codebreaker podcast, part of the Codebreaker podcast network as well. Someone was shouting out in here. You also do something called Sunday Sparks.
Oh, yeah, that's super cool. So I don't have all my windows open for all the spaces you're broadcasting this, but thank you to whoever shouted that out. Yeah, so Twitter Spaces
Shout out to Brent.
Is an audio. Brent, oh, Brent from Canada. So nice to see you, Brent.
From
Welcome.
Canada, from Ottawa.
Yeah, that's so cool. Brian may have known Brent before. I know they're in the same region, although Ontario's pretty big, right? So I probably shouldn't say that about everybody living there, but yeah. So Twitter Spaces, yeah, audio space in Twitter, guys. If you see a little purple ring around your avatar on Twitter, it means that you can connect with that person in an audio space. And Sunday Sparks is basically a space that I set up on Sundays. I was part of the Twitter Space beta, probably because I was in Jordan and they were interested in having some feedback on how that's working over here. But I tested a few days and I thought, let's go with Sunday. There's all sorts of ed chats, Twitter chats, meetups, Monday to Friday during the week, during the educational week. And I thought, you know what, let's spark on Sunday to fire up the rest of the week. So we connect on Sunday. I think it's mornings in your time. Let's see if I can get my time zones right. So 5 p.m. my time zone will be 7 a.m. PT and 10 a.m. ET, hopefully. If not, just watch for the purple ring. Yeah. So 5 p.m. on Sunday evenings for me. And we talk literally, Brendan, everything that is sparking your week ahead, your current weekend. It could be like a book you're reading, a podcast you're reading, a new space that you're joining, a conference that you're going to. And the conversations that have been happening in that audio space have been phenomenal, just sparking each other. I know you and I both know Sandra Donahue, who's also connected through Leadership Lounge, and has been sharing about Connections Without Borders. So shout out to her and Matthew, who are doing that new collaboration together as well. So I just think it's really great, Brendan, and we were talking a little bit about this earlier in audio spaces, how it really allows people another opportunity to connect, but in a less formal way, right? We don't have to dress up. I don't need to turn my ring light on to go into an audio space, and I can have a real, authentic, raw conversation with people. I can put my feet up on my couch with my ginger and honey, and I can just have a nice conversation. So I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot more audio spaces, which leads me next, and then I'll let you talk. Sorry, I just realized I was going on and on.
Keep going.
Shout out to Breaker Space. So Codebreaker has a new audio space event actually on Wednesdays, and you guys can connect with us at bit.ly/CB Breakerspace, and it will take you to a software online called Skilled Space. And Skilled Space is also an audio space. So we've talked about Twitter Spaces, and I'm sure a lot of you joining in have heard about Clubhouse. What you may not know is Clubhouse is not available in all parts of the world. So for example, for myself here in Jordan, I don't have access to Clubhouse. So while there's hundreds of thousands connecting on Clubhouse, I unfortunately don't have that opportunity. So I'm finding other spaces that I can connect, and Skilled Space has just been absolutely phenomenal. It has different features to Twitter Space, Brendan. So we can enter a Skilled Space room like Breaker Space. We can connect together, and anybody can leave at any time, and the room does not close like in a Twitter Space. And if you were sparked by something we chatted about in Breaker Space and you wanted to hop on that same audio space with somebody else at a later time, you can. It's like going into a coffee shop, and I absolutely adore it. It's like having coffee around a table in space. Like, you know, we've been closed down by the pandemic, but imagine sitting down with people that you love, igniting all things education about, and just talking over coffee, right? I'm just so inspired by that. So yeah, if you're interested to talk things inspiring in education, what is the future going to look like? What could we do? You just want to come and say hi and check out Skilled Space, then join us in Breakerspace. It's Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 8 a.m. PT, 11 a.m. ET, and now I'm not going to remember my own time zone. That's why I always start with mine first. Anyway, and
You did.
then
You changed it already. You said before. You said 10.
Did I?
Eastern? Yeah, because I was listening for the Eastern time, but it's all
Oh,
right.
that's for the Twitter Spaces. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
the Twitter
That's Twitter.
Spaces. Yeah.
For
Okay.
Breaker Space on Wednesdays, it's
Yes.
8, 11, and that makes 11 plus 7, so 6 p.m. my time. Got there. Just barely,
Hey,
Brendan.
listen, all
Just
they have to do
barely.
is sign up and they'll get all the information, right?
There
That's
you
all they
go.
have to do, and then take it from there. But that's awesome. So, wow, you're involved in so many different learning experiences. So, in all of the work that you're doing, and there's a lot of work that you're doing and a lot of learning and growing that you're kind of diving into, and I really appreciate that. So we're I kind of came up with this little 3, 2, 1 thing. So three quick questions here. So here's the first one. So, and you can recap a lot of it recaps. It's a good recap of what you've said so far. So 3 recommendations though for self-care in our summer.
Yeah, really, really awesome. So I think, well, I'm hoping most will agree who are joining in or listening in after the fact that exercise and, you know, healthy, that whole healthy lifestyle. So exercise, healthy eating, water, sleeping, that whole healthy living piece is really important. I've been really mindful of that. And I think now that summer's here, you know, I think us being outside, if it's safe, you know, obviously safety first, I think connecting with fresh air, sunshine, nature is going to be really helpful. So I think exercise for sure. And then another one, I would say connect yourself with spaces that are uplifting. I think sometimes it's really easy to like get on the news and maybe get a little bit down sometimes from the news, and sometimes not. There are positive spaces as news as well, but also the friends and people that you surround yourself right with. I think that making sure that the spaces that we connected to physically, virtually, audio, I think try to surround yourself with people that are going to inspire you and spark you, and just, you know, say, hey, how you doing today, you know, to check in on you. And I think that's really important. So people that care. And the other one I would say, I didn't prep those ones. You can see I brought all my links with me, but not that question. Give me a second.
This one gets you thinking a little bit. It's a little quick shotgun round here.
You know what? I would say give yourself permission to say no. So we talked a little bit about the power of yet, right? And the fact that like you may not know everything or have all the skills, and so you're working through that process. What about the permission of saying no, just to give yourself back some of that well-being time? So sometimes it's okay to say no. Sometimes things happen in life, and we can only stretch ourselves so far, right? And I think sometimes those of us like on this call listening to the podcast, really kind education leaders who want to help, right? And I think sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in always saying yes. So shout out to Lindsay Titus, who's also part of the Codebreaker team. That's something that, you know, she's really big on, that I'm constantly reminded and appreciative of her voice saying, you know, it's okay to say no. It's okay to take that time for yourself. So I think that's important.
Shout out to Lindsay. She is an awesome person. Really appreciate the work she's doing as well. Yeah, so you've mentioned a bunch of these. So the next question kind of does a recap, but also connects to you a little bit. So you've talked a lot about learning opportunities. So what are 2 examples of free learning opportunities that you are specifically speaking at, that you're excited about?
Okay. That's hard because I
Only
gave you so
two.
many. Only two. Okay. All right. Well, definitely the big one for myself, big heart for creativity. So Adobe Education Summit, guys, free for all educators and leaders. Come out. You will create, you will connect, you will be so sparked and inspired. So I'd love to connect with you guys. So Adobe for Education Summit. And the second one, I'm going to go with audio spaces. If you haven't yet taken a risk and tried an audio space, come join us at Breaker Space, or check out a Clubhouse, or check out a Twitter space. You know, it doesn't have to be our specific space here at Codebreaker, although that is pretty awesome, I have to say. But yeah, I think that we're going to see a lot more of that, and I think summer would be a great opportunity, guys. If you're on a walk, so again, shout out to Sandra. She joins Sunday Sparks every Sunday on her walk out in nature, and she's walking and chatting with us. So a great chance just to listen or to join the conversation. So yeah.
Love that. That is some shout outs there. Always a great shout out to the team and family at Codebreaker. Some amazing people there that you should really connect with if you're not already connected. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you possibly are already connected to all those great, wonderful people, but you can find out more about them. So now the last question: what is one way you're going to celebrate you this summer?
Celebrate me?
Yeah, you got to do that. Remember you?
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I was going to say I'm all about celebrating others, and actually people who are connected with me on social media know that I'm always celebrating everybody. So for myself, that is a really good question. Well, maybe we could just go with my blog. You know, I've got a big goal to get my blog republished, you know, out. And so maybe I can throw in some celebrations there. And I think that'll be a great way to keep that going. Is that fair? Can I go with that?
That's perfect. That's awesome. You're still rising by lifting others in that way, by sharing your awesome knowledge and taking all of this stuff that you're doing and making it practical and easy to apply for other educators. I think that's really a big shout out to everyone out there. So good for you. All right. So we're kind of coming to the end. We've had some amazing learning experiences. So now here's your mic moment, your mic drop moment. So to finish my sentence, to keep thriving in the future, educators should.
To keep thriving in the future, educators should. Okay. Definitely continue to take risks, to share your voice, create and share your voice. Just take that one risk. I can't tell you guys enough. If you just take the risk, you don't know how far your reach will go until you try. I can't tell you how big that is. The world is global now. The pandemic has really gifted us that gift of global PLN. Brendan, we're connected because of that. It started on EDU Twitter, as you know, and so this is my thing. Take the risk, guys. If you haven't tried it yet, just get out there and give it a go. You'll be so excited with the people that you meet, the connections you make, the spaces that inspire you, and the creative sparks. So
I agree with you wholeheartedly. If you're an educator who is passionate, who is out there and already connected in all those spaces, keep connecting. If you're someone who's out there and you're not really sure about getting out there, and just get out there and start following. You don't have to be someone who's posting all the time. You know, whatever you're comfortable with is what you'll be comfortable with. And eventually it'll turn into more for you in whatever way you want to go. So continue to connect with others and realize that you are not alone. The problems that I'm having in schools in New York are some of the same problems you're having in schools in Jordan, and we can all help each other out. And it's great to have that perspective. So I really appreciate you joining me on this show, man. You left so many bits of knowledge and so many awesome opportunities for everybody. Whoever's listening to this show is going to have a great summer plan if they just choose one of the events that you chose today. So thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you joining us, and I hope that you are going to have an awesome kickoff to your summer now that you are officially in summer break.
Oh, Brendan, you have gifted me the best kickstart to the summer, and I want to give a big shout out to you. So I would love it if anybody who's tuning in live in the chat can click subscribe to Brandon's channel below. He didn't know I was going to do this. This is his celebration time though, guys. And if you have not yet subscribed to his podcast, then please do so. And if you've not read his book yet, like me, who just found out about it, it's on my summer reading list, then make sure you grab it. Unlocking Unlimited Potential. Right. Oh, wrong way again. Right there. There you go. Brendan, thanks for having me. It's so nice to connect across time zones to celebrate the summer together. And I am so grateful for you and for our Codebreaker team and everybody. It's so great to hear. And I'm so looking forward to the other three Summer Thrive speakers this week. Jesse did a great kickoff yesterday, and I'm looking forward to that. So thanks again for your space.
Yes, absolutely. We have some great speakers coming up. We got Darren Peppard tomorrow, Charles Williams on Thursday, and Tisha Richmond on Friday. So we appreciate you all joining us. Thank you for your time today. Remember, the journey toward unlocking unlimited potential in all whom you serve begins with you. Educators, we always have a choice. The question you have to answer right now is, during this summer, will you stop and dive or choose to grow and thrive? Continue to educate with passion, everybody. Thank you very much, Georgina. Have an awesome day.
Thanks, guys.